Hey everyone, so welcome back. This is game number 2 between two legends that actually Garry has been back and started to play games. So we have this chess 1960 as the same setup in the last game. Here and now in this moment and in this game, Garry is having the white pieces but Anand with black pieces. Okay, so let's begin. So let's just maybe flip the board, it's better. We have e4, e5, so the same. So we have now f4, kind of king's gambit if it was the normal setup, e4, e5, f4. Yeah, he took, and I took on f4, we have rotates on f4, and after the move g6, so this diagonal is completely open. We have now g3, also Garry did the same thing. We have knight to c6, knight to c3, and Garry, but this one was kind of short. And actually is famous for preferring knights to bishops, and that's why he actually gave this. His decision here looked suspect, but the white's sport on pawn structure does make it hard to actually exploit an advantage later on. So that's why actually Anand took on c3 here. But yeah, and here maybe Anand was expecting details on c3, but Garry actually did b-takes on c3. So let's see again, and here, and actually right away wanted to come here and exploit this weakness right here, but king to b2, and let me just switch the keyboards here. King to b2 was played, and we have just castle from Anand here. We have d3 and here d6. Instead, if you play something like knight to f6 after queen to f3, if knight to h5 is just very amazing, and after something like to h4 now we can go something like this. If you play this, then I just take and I'm just having a good position, so that's why actually queen to f3 was not possible. Instead we can do something like f5, sorry, yeah, and after knight to f6 we can play something like bishop to d2, and etc. Okay, so the game continues like this, but here after castles, Kasparov just played the move d3, it's nice move, d6, so Anand wants to just go here and just and after the move c4 we have bishop to d7. I will just told you g5, if you just read the threaten the rook on f4, then it's just normal moves, normal retreat to f1. No, nothing happens here, rarely. Bishop to d7, and after the move bishop to c3, and Anand in this position decided to go for the move f5, and this move was actually very hard, is actually very hard for me to play, but after some time thinking, I get this point that I really don't have any good moves, so f5, why not? But as I just said, it is really difficult for me to play. Is actually this bishop gets very dangerous here. Kasparov took on f5, we have rotates on f5, rotates on f5, and if bishop takes on f5, bishop speed takes on c6, black position here is not so dangerous because a lot of pieces have been just exchanged, and white doesn't have any pieces to actually exploit this king's weakness here. But actually, if you now play something like this, okay, then after bishop takes c6, this is again equal, okay. But here, as I just told you, rook takes f5, rook takes f5, and here we don't actually want really to take this because we have just an isolated pawn here, and we have actually 3 pawn islands. Okay, this is one, and this is one, this is one. These are just 3 pawn islands here, and this pawn on f5 and h7 are so weak. So, but instead, white pawn's structure is much better than ours. So, bishop takes f5 then, but here Garry didn't go for bishop takes on c6 and went for the queen to f3 move. Here we have queen to d7, and here black just wants to play knight g to e7 just to develop the pieces, and maybe I want to play the move d5 and take with the knight, and then have my counter-attack here like this. And here Garry played the move knight to e2. We have bishop to b4. The point of knight to d2, what is the point of knight to d2 is that we want to play knight to d4 and put pressure on this knight. So if you take, then I just say checkmate, GG. Okay, that's why actually bishop to b4 and queen to f2. Why not queen to g2, you may ask? Because of maybe we want to play black want to play rook to f8. So if you play here, then we want to play rook to f8, I believe. Okay, so that's why Garry actually went for this, and we already have this threat to take straight here, but it is not possible because we have this. So if you play something like this, but if you take and take, then I just simply take on e2, and after this you just get away, and you are just a piece down here. So you haven't gained so much. So knight to g7, if you take now, I can just take with the knight, and I have developed my piece. It's just very okay. And after knight to d4, Garry here actually said I could smart victory. Garry actually said this and he retreated, not playing knight to f4. Okay, sorry. So after knight to g7, the game could continue, right? Knight to d4. Actually, in this moment, Garry, as I just told you earlier, regretted that he didn't play knight to f4, and thought for himself thought that his position is much better than knight to f4. Actually, knight to d4 is just you centralize the knight and it's just good, but actually knight to f4 is much stronger. So here, after knight to d4, we have knight takes, queen takes. If you take them, it's not a very good move actually. Rook to e8. If you take this, then kind of stacked b6. If you go something like this, then after d5 takes, and now queen b5, I believe. After like this, then you take, and if you take, this is just like something like this: queen b4, queen b4, and here is just rotates a2. If here, then here, then just, oh sorry, checkmate here.
Checkmate, amigo.
So that's actually why queen takes. Afterwards, queen takes d4 was played here. Queen takes d4, and now he's threatening to take on a5, and here Anand just simply responded with the move c5, so attacking the queen and also blocking this threat here. So we have queen to f6, and in this position queen to e6 was, if you play something like queen to e6, that's a blunder, because of, you can pause the video and think for some moments and tell me what is the problem of playing queen to e6 to just offering the queen exchange. Hope you have paused the video and down for some moments here. If you play this, then I just take. Oh, sorry. If you play this, then I have this rook to e1, and after rook to e1, if you take the queen, I just take back, and now this pawn, this knight cannot be defended, and it is attacked 2 times. And if you move the knight, you just lose the rook here. So that's why it is not possible to play actually queen to e6 here. Sorry, I'm just speaking a little fast to actually make this video a little actually short. We have rook to a1, and after queen to c7. Oh, what is actually, you may ask, what is the purpose of king to c7? It's actually a little depth, a little. If you play this immediately, playing rook to e8, then you just simply lose it. And this position is completely lost, okay? So you lose the pawn on d6. First, you have to defend this by the king, and then threaten to rook to e8 to simplify. So that's the actually purpose of this king to c7. Now we are just playing rook to e8, and here Garry had nice move, queen to h4, or not, queen to h4. And if something like this you just play, then I play this. If you play this, now I just take on g6. Now you can exchange rooks, but you cost a pawn for this. After here, the best move actually for black is knight to e5. It was very hard to find actually. Who plays this? You should just consider this. But you don't have this actually because of queen to d4, it's double attack. So if you take, then I just maybe go bishop to d5, and actually white position is still quite better, I think, but it's a game start. But Garry didn't find this nice idea of queen to h4, and instead he played the move bishop to d5. After now, actually let the Anand play rook to d8. We have rook takes on e8, rook takes, queen takes on e8. We have queen to g7, and here Anand made an inaccuracy by playing queen to d7. Why? Why queen to d7, Mr. Anand? Just queen to e7, and your queen is much thicker, is much more active than queen to d7 here. As I just said, queen to d7 was played, and here also Garry missed the move. Queen to h6, double exclamation mark. We have bishop to g8 as a threat, bishop to g7 as a threat to take and just clobber all these pawns here. So let's go back here. Queen to d7, queen to h8 was played, and here the move h5. And also I should just notice that this kind of ideas don't work, that you take here. If you're captured with the pawn, then it is blunder. Maybe playing bishop to a5. Or actually this, I think is just a true blunder. But I just missed the point there. Here, I believe a line was that bishop to a5 was completely winning. Okay, let's continue after queen to d7, bishop to c6, b6. This line maybe isn't winning, but okay, wait, queen d7 and let's go on. Queen to h8 was played here, letting Anand off the rook, and just the move h5, bishop to c6 and bishop to f5, and the next couple of moves they just agreed to draw. Hope you enjoyed this video, but actually in this moment it was Garry could actually push by playing this queen to h4 if he could find this. Maybe Anand was able to find knight to d5 here because of this tactic that you cannot take. Here it's double attack. Okay, but who knows? It was hard to see trends for both of them. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time. Bye for now.